Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so I want you to forget literally everything you thought you knew about traditional tech giants, because today we're unpacking what might be one of the most unprecedented mind-bending stories in modern business history. We're looking at a research lab that somehow managed to turn artificial intelligence, this incredibly complex, highly academic concept, into a massive everyday consumer product practically overnight. It's a story that is just full of wild contradictions, rapid pivots, and honestly staggering sums of money. We're going to explore exactly how they pulled it off, how they actually make their money, and what this explosive growth really means for the rest of us. Let's get right into it. 5 days. That is all it took back in November 2022. A chatbot quietly went live on the internet, right? And within exactly 5 days, it had already amassed 1 million users. I mean, to put that in perspective, most startups would throw a massive company-wide party if they hit 1 million users in a year. By month 2, they were at 100 million users. This wasn't just a successful product launch. It was an absolute earthquake in the tech world. Think about world-changing innovations like the telephone, the TV, or even the iPhone. Those took years, sometimes literal decades, to reach the level of adoption that ChatGPT achieved in just 8 weeks. No product in human history has ever scaled that fast. But here's the kicker, the one detail that makes this whole adoption curve so fascinating. The company that built it wasn't selling a physical device. They weren't even running ads. They achieved the fastest adoption curve in human history by giving their product away for completely free. So to understand how OpenAI gave away the most rapidly adopted product in history, we kind of have to look at the massive paradox of their origins. Back in 2015, they were founded as a nonprofit. The whole mission was to build artificial general intelligence that benefits all of humanity. No shareholders, no profit motive, just $1 billion pledged by Silicon Valley insiders to make sure AI remained open and decentralized. Super noble, right? But noble goals are incredibly expensive. By 2019, they were burning through cash like crazy. So they did something highly unusual. They created a capped profit subsidiary and took $1 billion from Microsoft. Just let that sink in for a second. A decentralized open source lab took $1 billion from one of the largest tech monopolies on Earth. Fast forward to 2023, there's another $10 billion from Microsoft. And by late 2024, this former nonprofit hits a staggering valuation of $157 billion. So how does a company that doesn't even sell a physical product become one of the most valuable startups ever? Unlike typical tech giants selling hardware or digital ad space, OpenAI had to invent a totally different kind of revenue engine, and it's basically two-pronged. On the consumer side, you've got premium subscriptions. $20 a month for ChatGPT Plus doesn't exactly sound like a fortune, does it? But when you have millions upon millions of users paying that $20, you're suddenly pulling in a baseline of $2 billion a year just from subscriptions alone. But the API access side, that is where it gets truly systemic. This is the back-end service where other companies plug OpenAI's brain directly into their own customer service bots, coding assistants, and everyday apps. And how do they actually charge those companies? By the token. Now, a token is essentially a fraction of a word, so OpenAI charges fractions of a single cent for every word you input and every word the model outputs back to you. Conceptually, they are literally selling other companies access to pure intelligence by the syllable. It's microtransactions for computing power. And when you're processing billions of queries a day, those tiny fractions of a cent pile up into an absolute mountain of cash. And all those tokens lead to a massive, massive number, $4 billion. That was OpenAI's annualized revenue heading through 2024. I mean, for a 7-year-old company that started as a nonprofit, creating a revenue engine, this incredibly lucrative, powered entirely by subscriptions and microtokens, is nothing short of breathtaking. They are practically printing money, but yeah, you guessed it, there is a catch. Which brings us to Section 3, the harsh reality and the cost of compute. Because as successful as that massive revenue stream sounds, the other shoe has to drop. OpenAI is losing money at a really alarming rate. Training GPT-4 reportedly costs over $100 million just for a single iteration, and the projection for GPT-5, $500 million or potentially even more. And guys, that is just to train the model. That doesn't even include the raw processing power, the compute required to actually run those billions of user queries every single day. OpenAI is a growth machine, and growth machines need constant fuel. They burn through cash faster than that massive revenue comes in, which constantly forces them to raise bigger rounds at higher valuations, essentially betting that their models will improve fast enough to justify the staggering spend. And that brings us to an absolutely crucial reality check. ChatGPT is a language model that predicts the next word. It is not AGI. The company has teased artificial general intelligence for years. This idea of a machine that can genuinely reason, learn, and adapt exactly like a human. But the current models, as amazing as they are, don't actually understand or reason the way we do. They just guess very, very well based on patterns. And importantly, the improvements are starting to slow down. The leap from GPT-3 to 4 was massive, but moving forward, they're facing diminishing returns. The models are getting exponentially more expensive, but the actual performance gains are getting smaller. Meanwhile, OpenAI isn't the only game in town anymore. Google has Gemini, Anthropic has Claude. Meta just released their highly capable Llama model for entirely free. Oh, and China's DeepSeek recently released a model rivaling GPT-4 for a mere fraction of the cost. This poses a massive question for OpenAI's investors. If everyone has access to these models, and the cost of training them starts falling for all these competitors, where exactly is OpenAI's technological moat? Honestly, right now, their biggest edge might not even be their tech. It might just be their brand. They convince the world that AI equals ChatGPT. But as we all know, brands can fade. If we zoom out from the corporate finances for a second, we really have to look at the real-world implications, because we are living in a moment of extreme duality right now. On one hand, we have unprecedented productivity gains. Millions of people are using these tools to write emails, debug complex code, and summarize deep research in literal seconds. But productivity has a darker twin: labor displacement. If a $20 a month subscription can generate marketing copy or handle customer support, what happens to the junior copywriter? What happens to the paralegal? Now, the answer isn't that there will be zero jobs left, but there will absolutely be fewer of these specific jobs, demanding a really rapid shift to roles requiring human judgment and oversight. The core issue here is just the timing. This transition is happening faster than we can retrain people, and definitely faster than policy can keep up. Because of that speed, entire industries are actively scrambling to reprice risk. We're seeing historic contract disputes in Hollywood over AI-generated scripts and voices. Major publishers are launching lawsuits over the use of their copyrighted data for training. Governments worldwide are trying to draft regulations for a technology they honestly don't fully understand yet. Now, to be completely fair, OpenAI didn't single-handedly invent these societal tensions. But by making AI instantly accessible to a college student and a Fortune 500 CEO on the exact same day, they definitely lit a very fast-burning fuse. We are rapidly entering a world where the cost of thinking is collapsing. That is the fundamental shift we're navigating here. We are walking into an era where answers are instant, they're cheap, and they're everywhere. But because answers are so ridiculously easy to generate, deep, critical understanding might rapidly become optional. OpenAI made interacting with artificial intelligence completely normal, and now we are all just living in the aftermath of that new normal. So I'm going to leave you with this provocative question. The debate is no longer about whether automation is coming. It's already here, and it's running on billions of tokens a day. The real question is, are we actually ready for the world it's creating? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you next time.